right, Al. So in the last couple examples, last video we talked about a sort of basic walk cycle or a regular walk cycle, which is made up of four main poses. Okay. The contact pose, the passing pose, and then a reverse of that, which is the reverse contact and reverse passing, which is the same action, but on the other side of the body. What we're going to do now is what I'm going to call an advanced walk cycle. In this case, this is going to be an 8-pose walk cycle as opposed to 4 poses. Okay. So it's still going to have the 4 that we did before: contact, passing, reverse contact, reverse passing, but we're going to add a couple of additional drawings. Okay. These additional drawings are going to make the action look a little smoother. Okay. And the additional drawings that we're going to add are what is called a recoil and a high point, and then just a reverse coil and a reverse high point. Okay. So total of 8 poses: contact, recoil, passing, high point, reverse contact, reverse recoil, reverse passing, reverse high point. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna open up exercise 3. And, I'm going to do this again from scratch just to kind of, and the reason why I'm doing that is mostly just to give you guys a little more practice of seeing how I'm drawing things. So this is kind of, I'm going to use this as a reference. Okay. And then I might literally draw my own version of it where it's like, all right, I'm just going to come in here and draw kind of a stick figure version of this so that I can use as a reference. So this is like the main body, the foot, this is the leg, front leg, this is the arm, and this is the back arm. Okay. Next pose. So this is a new pose, by the way. So that was the contact pose. We talked about the contact pose. Called the contact pose because the feet are literally contacting with the ground. The character's a little bit lower, and then the arms are kind of a reverse swing. So whatever leg is forward, that arm is back. So if the right foot is forward, the right arm is back. If the left foot is forward, the left arm is back, or vice versa. The next pose in an 8-point, the next pose would be a recoil pose. Okay. And you can see that here. So the idea is that the next pose is the character's, this leg is off the ground and then this leg is bent. So the character is actually the lowest it's at. Okay. See how the height goes a little lower? The arms are also at their full extended swing. This is something we didn't do before. So this is the lowest part, widest arm stance, and then this leg should be bent. All right. Once again, I'm just going to draw kind of this, oops, am I drawing the wrong one? That bend in the leg is very important. Arms are fully out. Okay. Next is our passing pose. We did this before in the sort of regular or basic walk cycle. This is where the leg from here is literally moving forward, passing this leg. So the character is taller, definitely, than the recoil pose, and even taller than the contact pose, because this leg is getting straighter because they're putting all of the weight on it. So this leg has to be a little bit straighter. And now we're going to have an additional pose called the high point pose. Okay. The high point pose is called that because it's the highest point your character's at. So what is happening is your character is pushing off, this leg is taking the weight, and then it's straightening itself out. And then this is where it's like literally pushing off and before the next leg steps. So this leg, the leg that's moving forward is up in the air. This leg is straight. Okay, arms are kind of down. So highest point, foot is pushing off. Let's see if we can see some of these poses in an actual video. They're not going to be as extreme as, when we do this in these things here, but I just wanted to kind of show you. So, oops, those are literal videos. So here, let me blow this up. This is the contact pose. Maybe that's the contact pose. That is the recoil. Okay. Weights here, leg is off the ground. You can see how he was a little bit higher. He was like, right here. And then he's literally at the lowest point right there. We have our passing pose right here. And then this point right here, this is the high point. See how he's pushing off the ground? His leg is straight. This leg hasn't touched yet. Okay, so we're still doing that. We're just kind of taking it to the extreme. Because that's what we do in animation, is we make things extreme. All right. So now that I have my skeleton pose, I might kind of flesh it out here, however you want to do it. So I'm just going to kind of I'm going to turn this opacity on. Kind of use this as like, all right, there's that. And then the character is kind of like that. So we did this before. The back leg is forward. All right, and then let's do my back leg. So there's the back leg. Got a little bit of a bent. Okay, there's that. This leg comes forward. This arm is forward. So Okay. Kind of turn this off. All right, so let me just kind of clean up my lines a little bit. Actually, this should be forward, so the arm should be like that. My character is like really thin here, but all right, that's fine. We'll keep it this way. I think so yeah, this part should come in front of this part. His wrists are real big, but it's okay. And then I need to get rid of this, because this leg is in front. All right. Oops. All right, and then I'm gonna just kind of fill this in. So this is the first pose. All right, there's pose one. Let's do the next pose. So I'm just gonna add another blank keyframe. Use. So this is the new pose. This is the recoil pose that we have. I just want to make sure the head is about the same. Volume. And so this leg is still passing. So this leg is in front. This leg is bent, right? So you got to have that weight on it right here in the knee. Making this like a little bit higher. The arms are at the highest swing, so they should be really far out. The last pose is like that, so I should really have the arms out like that almost. Far out as I can. Okay. Let me tidy up my lines a little bit. This arm's a little too long, so I might. My character got a little too fat there, so I'm just going to kind of tighten this up. I want to make sure the proportions look about right. All right. Okay. Then we want this is the passing pose. So the character's a little taller because of this back leg. Okay. Arms are down. This leg, this back leg is straight. This one in the last one that's moving, it's now like moved here. So it should be about there. Basically like off the ground, essentially. While this back leg is basically holding up the body, so it's straighter. Okay. And then this arm is kind of swinging down, so it's kind of more like there. All right, so let's tidy up these lines. All right, so this back leg should be kind of there. All right. And then so this I need to get rid of this line because it's just coming forward. Okay. This is the back leg. So contact, recoil, passing. That arm is bothering me. Maybe not quite so high up. Maybe like there. There we go. That looks a little better. Keeping his arm too big. Should be a little bit thinner. You know, you always got to go back and like really look at your lines. Make sure they feel right. Just like with the ball, we don't want the volume to feel like it's growing or shrinking. All right, so that's the passing pose. And then now the new pose, which is the high point pose. So this leg that's been passing is fully at the highest point. The back leg is being pushed off of. This part's important. Make sure you have that push off point. And then the height is the tallest. Okay. So I'm going to come into here. The body should be relatively straight. So this leg is like kind of coming down and about to step down. Its back leg is this like this pushing off of it. Okay. And then the arms are kind of down. So this arm you can't really see, but it's like, there's kind of this, and then that's the back arm, and then this is like the forward arm, but it's kind of swinging. Okay. All right, so let's clean up my lines a little bit. All right, so I'm just tidying up these lines. Solid drawing is always the key to good animation. Okay. This leg should probably be a little bit thinner. All right, so and this arm feels a little. Let me go back here. All right. I'm just gonna fill in. So this is a back arm and this is the back leg. So I'm using that just to kind of. All right. So let's back up a little bit. We have contact, recoil, passing, high point. Now, actually, this height. So in terms of the character, this height of this character should be a little taller. So I'm actually gonna bring this up just a smidge. Maybe not that high. It should be about the same height, maybe a little taller than the contact pose. There we go. But the high point should definitely be taller. All right. And so, yeah, that feels about right. Body's kind of shifting forward. Right now, my body's kind of shifting a little bit. I should fix that. But the leg's about right because you can follow this leg. It moves forward while this one touches and then it moves back. Okay. And now I'm just going to do a reverse, which is basically I'm going to copy and paste these and just switch the drawings around a little bit. So let's do an edit, copy. Let's make a new blank keyframe and then paste in place. Okay. And then I'm just going to kind of reverse this. So this is a reverse contact. So this arm. This arm should be in front and this arm should be in the back. You could redraw this. I'm just, for the sake of this demo, not being forever long. This leg should be in the back, and then this leg should be in the front. So I'm going to fix that by just kind of doing this. Okay. All right, and then why don't we do this? Maybe I'll fill that. All right, and then let's do reverse of this one. Copy. Make a new blank keyframe to paste into, and I'm going to go to paste in place. And let's reverse that. All right, that looks about right. And then let's fill, this is now the back part. All right. Yep, okay. And let's do the reverse high point, or sorry, reverse passing. So copy, insert blank keyframe. Oops, let's do a paste in place. And I'm just gonna this is going to be in front. Which means that this leg should be in the back. All right, and let's do that. I need to tidy this up a little bit, but hopefully you get the idea. So this leg should be in front. Oops. Need to get that arm right. So on the reverse, the character's arm, yeah, I guess it's still down there, so we can still keep it there. All right. And then let's do the reverse high point. Edit, paste in place, good. And I just need to reverse this. So this should be in the back, this is in front, this should be in front, this is in the back. Should be like that. Okay. This is going to be in the back. And this arm's in the front. All right, so let's play this back. I'm just gonna do this. Still pretty fast, so why don't we kind of slow this down by adding in some frames to extend the length of each drawing. That'll slow it down. There you go. Much better. All right, so you see how that looks a lot more natural than the first two? Now we can even add even more poses, but you know, that's good enough for now. So what I'm gonna do is why don't I'm gonna highlight these and let's copy those frames. And I'm just gonna paste this a couple times to loop my animation. All right, let's play it back. All right, look at that. Characters walking. Maybe I want to add, you know, in the last couple examples, we did like, you know, like a reference line. So this is going to be the ground. Okay. And I need a point of reference that's moving. So maybe there's like a house in the background, you know? So let me draw like a little house. Like here's a house. Oops. Okay. And I'm gonna have it start like over here. And then it's just gonna kind of, you know, I'm just gonna use keyframes so I can kind of click and move it. Once again, this is our reference. Oops, except I don't want the house floating in the air. That looks weird. So maybe more like here. There we go. And so I'm just moving the, you know, the house along. This is to give the idea that the character is actually moving forward, even though the character sort of, in theory, walking in place, which it is doing, but we're doing this to create the illusion that the character I should fill the character, but whatever. That's why you can see through it is that the character is solid. Is hollow on the inside. So I'm moving this around. Okay. And maybe I'll copy the same frames here too. So let's do a copy and paste. Okay. And if I play this back, there you go. Okay, my character's walking. His head's bobbing up and down. His arms are swinging. The legs are crisscross, are changing. He's pushing off with his legs. All right. So that is what I would call an advanced walk cycle. There's 8 poses. To be honest, you can even break it down into more. There's like a 16 pose that I'm not even going to get into. If you want to know more about that, I'm sure you could do some research, but essentially it's the same thing, just even more poses in between. The more poses are going to make your, animation be a little bit smoother. So my animation, although it was solid, it's still a little bit jerky, that kind of animation with more poses, which I'm not going to make you do because that's like even more work, but that definitely would make it look a little smoother. Another thing I want you guys to understand is like I'm showing you the basics of a walk cycle, but not all walks are really the same. So it's like, you should think about how the character is moving. Kind of like when we did the ball bouncing, it's like 2 balls can bounce, but if they're different materials, they don't bounce exactly the same. If someone is sadder, they're gonna more like lean forward, when they're walking. See how like his body, his arms are drooping. They're not like, as pronounced. They are still moving back and forth. They're just not as like swingy, his legs, although are swapping, they're not as forward, This guy though, it's like, he's definitely springing his step, you know what I mean? So it's like you can definitely get a sense of the weight of the character and the emotion through the walk cycle too. And it's not just the facial expressions, although that does help. So it's like, let's look back at some of these poses. It's like, this foghorn leghorn, it's like he's doing a super chipper walk cycle. So it's like his arms are fully out, his legs are like, kicking out, you know what I mean? Compare that with like this guy, he's like kind of doing this like sneaky up and down. They don't go as far. She's got kind of like this kind of sullen zombie walk. So she is doing all those poses. They're just not as pronounced. This guy's pose is a lot more specific. Like he's very determined when he walks, like crisp and lots of movement, whereas hers is more sluggish and kind of like, so you can definitely get across that kind of stuff when you draw your walk cycles. Okay. So hopefully you learned a lot in this video. In the next video, I'm going to talk about your homework. Okay.